got 3 apologies before I ever start. First, I was in such a hurry to get down here and get my family. I ran off and forgot my Bible with my notes, so I'm going to have to use my phone with my Bible app. Second, I'm not a great gifted speaker. I'm just, like as Todd said, I'm just a redneck football coach, and so I apologize for that, but I just pray and ask that God be glorified through what I'm going to share with you today. And third, if I'm blinding you with this light with my bald head, I apologize for that too, but it happens. So I appreciate you letting us be here today and giving me an opportunity to share with you a little bit about what's going on in Montana. And people always ask me, how in the world do you go from Jonesboro, Arkansas, where we were living, or Brooklyn, Arkansas, where we were teaching and I was coaching, to Montana? And I tell you what, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's really a wild story. But Jennifer and I grew up in Pine Bluff. That's a good place to say that you're from. You're from Pine Bluff. You're not there anymore. If you've ever been to Pine Bluff, you know what I'm saying. Jennifer, of course, is from Osceola, so we got married, met her on a blind date, got set up, had a signal if I didn't like her. That was to put my chew of tobacco in. That was the signal that it was over. Didn't have to do that, so we've been married, I guess, 19 years this August. And so when we got married, if you'd have said that I was going to wind up taking her away from her mom and family and everybody to Montana, I'd have said you're just crazy. There's no way that's going to happen. But it has. And while we were here, I taught at Rivercrest for 8 years, had the opportunity. I see familiar faces. Thank you. I can't remember names anymore of some of you because you're grown now, but I see faces that I recognize of people. But I had a great experience there. Coach Graham gave me the opportunity to coach. They basically created a coaching position for me. They had 2 baseball coaches there, Coach Fleming, Coach Poe, do a great job. And so Coach Graham basically created a spot for me to have a spot. That interview lasted like 30 seconds. Basically, they didn't have any other applicants, so I was it, and so I got the job. But went from there. God opens doors in amazing ways sometimes, and we were perfectly happy here. I was a deacon at Calvary Baptist, and we were teaching over here just across the street, I guess, over here at the school, and I went back and forth between elementary PE and teaching high school history, and we were perfectly happy here. And then God opened a door for me to be the head football coach at Brooklyn, start that football program from scratch. I don't advise anybody to ever try to do that. So that was an experience, but prepared me for where we're at now. And everything that happens in our lives sometimes, even if you're in a spot to where you think, man, I'm in Mississippi County, I think, my gosh, how in the world did you wind up in Mississippi County sometimes? No offense, but we're all here for a reason. And that's the point of what I'm trying to say to you. We're all here for a reason. God's going to use us where we're at if we allow Him to. And there may be something that He's got for you that you could never imagine. Just as I never imagined we would be at Fort Belknap, Montana, in north central Montana, on the 35 miles from the border of Canada, living among the Indian folks there on that reservation. I taught at a Hutterite school. Hutterites are offshoot of the Amish, kind of like Mennonites. And so, redneck, kind of a little bit ghetto, winds up going from Brooklyn to Harlem. That's Harlem, Montana is the nearest town, to work up there among the Indian people up there. We were going to Central Baptist Church, and again, perfectly happy. Guy that's old enough to be my dad, but is my buddy, was teaching that class. His name's Bob Harrison, and he was going on a mission trip, like on a vision trip, to see what Central could get involved in. And he said, Kelly, you really should go to this. And I said, well, I coach football. Summertime, was work time, and so I really don't have time for that. But if it fell in that 2-week window, that dead period, those football guys in the room know what I'm talking about here. We got that dead period to where we can't do anything. I said, if it falls in that time, then I'll go. But the very next year, you know what happened. That trip fell during that dead period. And so as we were getting ready to go, Jennifer's dad wound up being sick in the hospital in Minneapolis and passing away. My mom had just recovered from leukemia, was in the hospital with a brain bleed. Everybody's trying to tell me not to go, and I said, no, I think I'm supposed to go. I'm going to go. 3 times in my life, I have no doubt in my mind that God flat told me to do something. And the first 2 times I didn't do it. And God has a way of working things out. And that first time He told me to go to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And those of you that were here old enough to remember all these folks that showed up in Mississippi County. We had them over here at the school and everything. Well, I didn't go to New Orleans like God told me, so God brought New Orleans to us. And so, second time, I was mowing my yard, and God told me I needed to go speak to somebody at our church. And older guy, older than me, old enough to be my dad. And I didn't go because I was like, all these reasons that I didn't go. But I didn't go. And so the third time I said, if he wants me to go to Montana, I'm going to go. So I went. And got up there, went on top of a mountain. I don't know if I have that picture in here, but I'll try to see if I do here in a minute. God clearly spoke to me just as I'm speaking to you and said, this is where I want you. I went back, told my wife and girls. They kind of thought I was crazy. Go up on top of a mountain, and God tell you to come somewhere. It's kind of crazy. It's too far. It's too cold. All that kind of stuff. The next year, I had said it would be really cool if that could be a 2-week mission trip. Like the guys go up and do construction and stuff one week. VBS come up the next week. So the next year, what happened during that 2-week window. It was a construction trip with VBS. So I went for 2 weeks. My wife and girls came up that second week, and then after that, they didn't want to go home. So then it became a matter of how are we going to do this and what's it going to look like. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what goes on up there. It's a beautiful place. It's beautiful people, but it's a dry in more ways than one. It doesn't rain but 17 inches a year, and it is spiritually dry. Most of the people, if they claim any affiliation with anything, it's Catholic. That's a very small percentage, and most of those are not actually practicing Catholic. They're Catholic because they went to the mission school that's on the reservation. So Fort Belknap has about 7,000 enrolled tribal members. There's 2 tribes there. I had never heard of either one. The Assiniboine is one. They like to be called the Nakota. And the White Clay, or the Grovant, is the other one. That's the, I can't ever say that one right, Ani. And those people were historical enemies. And then when the reservation system came into being, federal government put them on the same reservation. Well, you know why. Hoping they'd kill each other off. But they didn't, and so now they have a unified tribal council. Go ahead to that next slide there for me. There's about 7,000 enrolled members. These are just some stats. I'm not going to do this the whole time. I've got a lot of pictures. But the life expectancy is short for the men. It's short for the women, much shorter than what it would be here in Mississippi County or in the United States. The unemployment rate, some people have told me it's as high as 90%. So I don't know what it is in Mississippi County or in Arkansas right now, but it's incredibly high there. The poverty rate, I'd say probably 75% of the people are below the poverty line. So it's a very impoverished area. Dropout rates are through the roof. So the graduation rate is 65%. I remember when I was at Rivercrest and it was in the 90s and we weren't happy with that, And so it's 65% graduation rate. If you went there as a high school graduate, just think about that. You're more educated than 65% of the people that are on that reservation. If you have one college class, you're more educated than 65% of the college of the people there. Go ahead, next slide there for me. The suicide rate is a major problem. Last year, right before I got up there in May of last year, May the 15th of last year, I quit my job and went to Montana before school was out. And while I was actually driving up there, one of the kids that had played football at Harlem, where I became the head football coach, committed suicide. Went to graduation, came home, shot himself in the head. No hope. That kid had no hope for any kind of future. And God's word in Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that He has a plan, a hope for us. We have a hope and a future in Jesus Christ. But if those people don't know that, then how in the world can they plan for a future when all they look around and they see is drug abuse and suicide and domestic abuse and drug use, and they need people to come and tell them about Jesus Christ. Okay? Go ahead, next slide there for me. Well, that's Russell back there. Hey, man, how you doing? Just now noticed you back there. This is where we're at, that little pin drop. I drove that, I guess I left on Friday, got here yesterday afternoon. That's a 24-hour drive if you're interested in driving it. Okay, that's a long way. It's a lot of pretty country, 3 or 4 different ways you can go. We've been them all. I like to go the fastest now because it is a long way. We're about 30 miles from the border. Go ahead to the next one there. On the left here is my friend Bruce Plummer. Bruce has Montana Indian Ministries. Bruce Plummer is an Assiniboine Indian, and he has an amazing conversion story. And to borrow his favorite phrase, but I really mean it to make a long story short, he was involved back in the 70s with the American Indian movement. Y'all familiar with that? Took over Alcatraz. Okay, he was there. He was a part of that. He ran away from home. Hated white people. Hated anybody who was not an Indian, because the week of his high school graduation, he got called into the principal's office, and they threw his diploma at him, and he said, "What's this?" And the principal said, "We don't want any blankety-blank drunken Indians messing up our graduation. Get it and get out." So he did not have a very good view of white people, needless to say. But, again, God has a plan for every man, and a man for every plan. You can say woman in there too, because it's true. And sometimes things are working behind the scenes. God's orchestrating things in our life that we have no clue and idea of what's going to happen in the future. But Bruce wound up getting arrested in Spokane on Skid Row, gets into an altercation with an off-duty cop, winds up getting arrested. He broke the cop's jaw, so they beat him up in jail. Goes before a judge, gets released. They dismiss the charges. It's just to get out, just get gone. He's sleeping under a tree there in Spokane because he tells there's 2 kinds of rain in Spokane. There's cold rain and there's warm rain, so it rains all the time. And he wakes up on a Sunday morning, hears the bells ringing. He wants some money. He's hungry. He's got on the clothes that he wore for 3 days. He goes to this church. There's one guy inside. He talks to the guy. The guy says, "Well, won't you come home and we'll get you something to eat." Walks in, wife offers him a shower, gets him some clean clothes. He told me that he fully intended to rob from those people, but they were so nice to him that he couldn't bring himself to do it. So they let him stay there. Over the next several weeks, they shared Jesus Christ with him. Well, he was an alcoholic, and he had the shakes, and so this just proves God has a sense of humor, because they were Lutheran, and so Lutherans drink, so they gave him a beer, and that calmed his shakes so he could think clearly, and so he was able to process and understand what they were sharing with him. And one day when he was in the shower, he just said, "Hey, I want to be clean on the inside." So he prayed and said, "God, I don't have the faith to understand how this is going to work, but if you'll save me right now, then I'll work for you for the rest of my life." No more shakes, never took another drink of alcohol, totally changed his life, went to a Baptist college in Oklahoma, moved back to his home Indian reservation there in Fort Belknap, and has lived there for the last 10 years there on the reservation, actively doing work there on the reservation. And so we went there to partner with him. These are 2 little boys that are at a vacation Bible school. That the one on the left, his hair looks wet because he was in the shower. And the gentleman there in the middle, that's Mr. Fred. Mr. Fred was sharing with the little boy on the right about Jesus Christ while they were in the bathroom. And so he gets through sharing. He says, "Well, would you like to pray and receive Christ?" And the little boy on the right says, "Well, I'm not sure." And the little boy on the left, his name is Handsome, from out of the shower says, "I would." So then they both wound up praying to accept Jesus Christ. So again, God can use you even in the bathroom, man. As crazy as that is. Go ahead to the next one. Bruce has Montana Indian Ministries. His motto is one earth, one people, one God. And at the end of the day, no matter what color we are, no matter what background we've got, we are one people. We are one people. We're all the same, man. We're all sinners in need of a Savior. We've all got some kind of history and some kind of past. Okay, we've all got that. We've all got some kind of future too. And so we are truly one people. There's these Indian people right now, Bruce likes to say, and it's very true because I've got an Indian friend that I've kind of befriended, and they are at Genesis 1:1. That's where they're at. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. They don't have a problem with that. They don't understand John 1:1. Okay? John 1:1 says, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God. That's what they don't understand. That's where they're not at. They're not there yet. And so, go ahead, next one. Through Bruce's ministry that they're partnering with him, where they're partnering with him trying to help these people understand, he has, and if you chose to come up there, there's many opportunities to get involved there. This is the camp that Bruce operates and runs. And if you look at the cabins, there's all these different colored cabins because in Revelation 21 it describes the New Jerusalem. And it talks about these colors of the stones that are going to be in heaven and at the New Jerusalem. And so all these cabins were built by volunteers who came up there. Central went. We built 4 of them that are there on a mission trip. There's a group there right now that's building it was supposed to be a multi-purpose. It's now going to be a free store to where they give away clothes and stuff. But this is a beautiful place. Those are teepees. You could go and stay in a teepee. In the old days, 2 women would set up the teepees. Now it takes about 8 white guys. So, it kind of gives you an idea. Go ahead, the next one. So there's construction you could be involved in. Go ahead. Little simple cabin, 18 by 24. Go ahead to the next one. It's lightly finished out on the inside, lightly insulated. You don't want to stay in them in the winter. There's also construction needs because this is the reservation. This is what the housing looks like. As Jennifer and I were driving around taking some of these pictures, we're like, man, this looks like Pine Bluff. This looks like some places in Mississippi County that we've driven past. But there's people living in these houses. And these people that are living in these houses live on the reservation and they don't have the means to do anything to it. A lot of them are elderly. A lot of them have got their grandkids or their great-grandkids living with them. Mom and dad are either incarcerated, they're high, or they're just gone. Who knows where they're at. So there's a lot of needs. Go ahead to the next one. A lot of needs. A lot of times people say, well, do they live in teepees? No, they do not. They live in houses. But this frame for the teepee, these teepee poles have been set up for 3 years. And so when it comes powwow season, they'll put their teepee up. But they leave their poles up year-round. So not everybody does that. Bruce does not do that. Other people don't. But that one has been there for 3 years. Go ahead to the next one. This is a playground on the reservation. You just think about where you would send your kids to play. Would you send your kids to play on that playground? I would say no, because my kids aren't going to that playground to play. There's needles that have been picked up there. Meth is a major problem. People walk around, they call them zombies, res zombies, because literally they're so bonked out of their mind, they just walk around like zombies. There's a neighboring reservation to where people are actually selling their children. Now, this is young people in here, so I won't go into the gory details of it, but you can imagine what they're selling their children for to get meth. Since Christmas, November of this 15, there's been 2 abductions on the neighboring reservation. The reservation where we currently live, there's break-ins in broad daylight because the people are trying to get money and trying to get stuff for meth. So it is a major problem. The tribe has declared, the tribal council, they have a tribal governorship. They have declared war on meth, but it's tough. These parks, these playgrounds and things need cleaning up, but they don't have the money to do it. Go ahead to the next one. This is one of the neighborhoods. I think this is Rodeo. There's 3 neighborhoods, Rodeo, Halftown, Newtown. These 3 neighborhoods are crime-ridden. There's a lot of abuse and things that go on, but yet, again, man, they need Jesus Christ. Okay, why do people do what they do? They do what they do because they're lost. I did things when I was younger, and my wife did things when she was younger, and we've all done things at some point or another because we were lost, man. That's why we did it. And so those people are no different. Go ahead to the next slide. This house boarded up. I don't know if somebody lives there or not, but then we'll sit there, and from a white Western perspective, we'll say, man, that house is boarded up, but yet notice their satellite dish, right? And so we're offended by that. And so we don't want to help those people because they're not making good use of their money and all that kind of stuff. But yet, again, they need help. They need to know about Jesus Christ. Okay? What they do with their money may not be what I would do with my money. But yet, hey, they still need to know about Jesus Christ. We still have a responsibility to share with them. Go ahead to the next one. This is typical res house. There are probably, I would say, 8 to 12 people that live in that house. That's pretty typical. extended families. I know a lady that's one of Bruce's relatives. There are 20 people that live in a 4-bedroom house trailer. 20 people live in it, and she's well off. Well off. So you just stop and think about that. Like, I'm at my mom and dad's house right now, and my girls are going to be over there, and they're kind of, getting a little crowded in here, right? You just think about that with 20 people living in a house to where one of them has a job. Okay? Go ahead to the next one. This is another picture of the camp. If you come, be prepared to do construction or things like that, but be prepared for weather that could change. Next one, because this is the same day, look in the opposite view. This is not Photoshop. This is not touched up. This is nothing done to this other than reality, man. That is a real picture, a rainbow, right after that storm rolled through. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful place. God is there, He's here. He's there. All right? We know the story of the rainbow. They don't. So you've got an opportunity to just talk to them about what they see in nature. Go ahead to the next one. These are kids. If you came, there's an opportunity to do VBS. Y'all are talking about VBS here. VBS there is just a little bit different. People drop them off. They're there for 5 days, 24 hours a day. And so like here, y'all are going to work VBS, and you're going to do your, 3-hour or whatever VBS. If you came to Montana and worked VBS, you would do the same thing, except when your 3 hours is over and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm wore out, I can't believe that, they're still there. They don't go home, okay? They're still there. So there are college and high school age kids from all over the country who come up there to serve as counselors. That 3-hour VBS is those counselors' break. So Ty was sharing with the young people upstairs about helping with VBS. So they would have a 3-hour break during VBS, then they would have them the other 21 hours of the day. All right? It's a challenge. But you get to share with those kids, and you get to talk to those kids, and you get to eat with those kids, and they will open up to you and tell you way too much information about their life, okay? But that would give you an opportunity, again, to share. Go ahead to the next one. These are just pictures. The little girl on the left, young lady there on the left, she's in the 10th grade. There's another family that's moved up there from Houston, Texas, and they have taken this young lady in. They met her through the camps that go on there at Camp Beaver Creek, where my friend Bruce lives and operates his ministry. And they have since taken that girl in, and she's part of their family. They've got 8 kids of their own, and then they took her in too. So go ahead, next one. They should just go ahead. Pictures of the kids. This little boy's name is Handsome, and Handsome didn't want to do the traditional VBS like everybody else. I was the game guy. He didn't want to do games, so I took him over there and we shot basketball. They love basketball, and we just talked. He just told me his situation. The reason that he was so upset was because his sister was there. Well, we didn't understand that they had been taken away from their parents, and he had not seen his sister in 2 months. And so when they came to camp and saw each other, they wanted to be together. Well, what are we saying? Well, you can't be together. You've got to go with your age group, and you've got to go with your group. Well, we find that out just talking to him over there on the side shooting basketball. Go ahead to the next one. We don't just do missions. This is like what you would do here. You're going to talk about missions. So this is truly a typical traditional Southern Baptist or, Baptist, missionary Baptist, whatever VBS that you're going to do. Go ahead to the next one. And this is Bruce. On the next to last day of VBS, he shares his story from a cultural perspective that most of those kids deal with every day. And he tells his story to them, and he shares with them. And go ahead to the next one. And they respond in an amazing way. And then they get to go sit down and talk to a counselor, one of those young people that's there, to ask questions and to, this isn't just, hey, we want to get a response so we can check a box and talk about how many people we got. We want to make sure that they understand what they've done. And go ahead. This is the last day. This kid here, that's Louie with the hat, if you can tell, the kid with the hat. Louie didn't want to cooperate. Louie was one of the older kids. He was too cool for school, you know what I mean? He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do his own thing. Not Louie, but another kid there that's in the background there called me everything, including a white man that week. Okay, I was called everything you can imagine. He even tried to hit me with a hatchet. Okay, I didn't tell that part. VBS there in the morning is regular VBS, and in the afternoon it's cultural awareness because they are losing their culture because the parents are incarcerated, right? They're not there to teach them the culture. And so part of what Bruce does is he brings people in who teach horseback riding, who teach bow and arrow shooting, who teach hatchet throwing. They teach the culture. They go on hikes and learn about the plants and the things in nature that they're surrounded by that they have lost connection to. But these kids are crying because they don't want to leave. Go ahead to the next one. I didn't put the pictures of everybody else crying, but they were there, including my girls and my family. There were 292 people in attendance at that Vacation Bible School last year. Most of them are Indian kids. There were 9 Native American counselors who had been through the camp that came back as counselors. There were 28 salvations, 10 rededications, and 11 major prayer requests, which I put down there because they don't want to tell you stuff, because they don't trust you. Because you're here for a week, and then where are you? You're back at your nice, air-conditioned most of the time facility, right? You're back home, and they're still there. So they don't really want to trust you. So if they are going to share 11 different stories about things that are going on, that's major, man. Go ahead to the next one. If you came, you could get involved in rodeo camp. Go ahead to the next slide. There's all those kids that come to rodeo camp. Every kid that comes up there gets a hat, gets a rope, gets gloves or other stuff. It's really an awesome ministry. And again, the joke is, white people come up there and teach them how to ride horses. But they do. Go ahead to the next one. Go ahead. If you came, you could get involved in powwow ministry. The powwow is really pretty awesome. It's a dance contest is what it is. Go ahead to the next slide. But it's like a carnival. If you came, you could sleep in a teepee for a weekend. Go ahead. But it's a carnival. Everybody's trying to make a buck. Yet, go ahead. Bruce's ministry is giving away free water and free coffee and picking up trash. So there are white people picking up trash, giving away free water, free coffee to these people where everybody else is trying to make a buck. So what are they going to walk up and say to you? Why are you here? Why would you come here and pick up our trash? Why are you doing this? So then you have an opportunity to share the gospel with them. Go ahead. There they are, and that's shawl dancing. It's not a costume. It's called regalia. We learned that out the hard way. But it's awesome. It's really interesting. They play the drum. They sing. They dance. If you read in the Old Testament in the Bible, what are they doing? They're singing and they're dancing, right? That's what they're doing. Go ahead. Are you familiar with an Evangicube? It's a little cube. Looks like a Rubik's Cube. Those of us that are old enough to remember those things, except this, you open it up and it's got pictures on it. They're an oral tradition people. So they're going to see this thing and they're going to pick it up and ask what it is. And you tell them that you want to hear a story. And they say, sure, what kind of story? You tell them that this is a story of the Creator and His Son, Jesus Christ. So sure, yeah, they want to hear that story. Go ahead. So then you take them to the side and you share the story. Little girl on the right has got her cube in her hand, because if they sit through and listen to the story and can tell the story back, you give them the cube. They all want the cube, okay? They all want it. Even the adults want it. And so you give them the cube. Now she has gone and gotten her friend and brought her friend back to hear the story. All right? I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? And here's this little girl that just heard this story for the first time and is so enthralled with it that she goes and gets her friend because she wants her friend to hear the same story. Okay? Go ahead. There's one of my girls sharing, and again, with those little boys that are wearing their regalia. Go ahead. If you came, go ahead. This is a gentleman that got baptized that was a recovering, had just been out of rehab for a week or a month, I think. He had just gotten there and got baptized in a creek, and that's Bruce baptized him in the creek. Go ahead to the next slide. Last year, there were 248,000 salvations through Montana Indian Ministries and powwow and all those kind of things. There were even kids from Jonesboro, Arkansas, Central Baptist Church who came, whose kids got saved at that Vacation Bible School. Okay? Go ahead. And then this is kind of what we do in addition to all that stuff. I'm the football coach, and that can go one of two ways, but because I'm the football coach, I've got some in with the kids that I wouldn't have otherwise, because I don't teach at the school like I did out here at Rivercrest, to where I saw these kids every day and could talk to them in the hallways and ask them what's going on and tell them that they didn't need that girl or that dude, or give them life lessons and talk to them about things. I can't do that unless I can engage them outside of football. So a lot of these kids they're not very big. They're skinny, man, because they're hungry. Okay, they are hungry because they are starving. Literally, they are hungry. And so I figured that out after Wednesday. We had them over. 4 boys came, ate 20 hamburgers, 32 hot dogs, a gallon of ice cream, 2 pounds of oranges. I don't know how many pops they drank. That's what they call them up there. They're not Cokes, they're pops. I don't know how many pops they drank. And on Friday, we're working out, lifting, running, doing all this kind of stuff. Man, I'm killing them. And this kid about falls out on me. It's 75 degrees, man. Why are you falling out, brother? You know, it's 95 in Arkansas. What's wrong with you? Hadn't eaten since he was over at my house 2 nights before. But he's been there every day to work out and to run and to do everything that I ask him to do. Go ahead. So we have him over to our house, and we feed him. We watch a movie. We talk life. And that's what you have to do up there. Here you can go door to door, and you can knock on the door, and we've done faith evangelism strategy, and we've done all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's not appropriate and that doesn't have a place, but that wouldn't work there. That would not work there. You have to build relationships with these people and with these kids. Go ahead. So at Christmas, people, my sister's church, our old life group at Central, and other people sent things to us. This is a cultural thing that we don't really relate to. If it's birthday party, we bring gifts to the birthday boy or girl, right? That's what we do. If it's anniversary, you bring gifts to the person whose anniversary it is, right? That's what we do. We want to honor them by bringing gifts. Well, in their culture, that's not what you do. If you want to honor someone, you give away gifts. You give them away to everybody who came. So what we did is we had them come over, we fed them. I shared the Christmas story with them from the Bible. Okay, most of them had never heard it in their life. And then we gave away gifts. Go ahead to the next one. In the name of Jesus Christ. We want to bring glory and honor to Jesus Christ. That's a giveaway. All right? They understand that traditionally. They understand, oh, who is this Jesus? What? You mean people are sending things to give away to us because of Jesus? Yes. Okay, and that, yeah, some of them get to thinking about that. So, you know, they don't have a lot of money, and these weren't significant, impressive gifts. These are things that you could get at Dollar Tree and stuff like that. It's a toboggan. That kid is Hunter, not Hunter. Hunter, okay? Well, I had all kind of hunters, right? Hunter Smith and all these folks. I got all kind of hunters. I've never had a hunter before, but this is excited because he's got a lollipop, some jerky, gloves, and a hat. He's excited, showing everybody else what he's got. Go ahead to the next one. There's I said it was, there's all kind of other things that if you came up there you could do too. If you want to do something specifically like women's ministry is a much needed thing. They need women's ministry. If you are a beautician, you do hair, you do nails, you do that kind of stuff, that's an awesome thing to do because they have nowhere up there to do that. They can't get that. It's 54 miles to the nearest Walmart, okay? So ladies, think about that. That's like driving from here to Jonesboro or something to go shopping. We're going to do that if we live over here because we did that when we lived over here. Those people don't have that money. They don't have money to go 5 miles because they don't have gas for their car. So you see them walking everywhere, all right? So if you do hair, you do nails, you do that kind of thing, that would be an awesome ministry to come up there and do for those ladies of the reservation because they've all got long hair. They've all got long hair. Guys, too, they've all got long hair. And so there's nowhere to get that stuff taken care of. Go ahead to the next slide. This is where this young group of young people got killed in a car wreck. Since I've been there, I know of 11 fatalities in car wrecks since I've been there in May of last year. All of them involve drugs or alcohol. None of them are wearing a seatbelt, okay? And this thing was set up as a memorial, and it's maybe hard for you to see and to recognize what that is, but they put a cross up, okay? But then there's all this other stuff. There's beer, unopened and opened. There's bullets, rifle shells, spent and unspent. There's all kind of stuff because they are culturally confused. They are spiritually confused. This stuff is left because, you know, it's a little angel and stuff that's hanging there. They don't understand who they are and what they are. And so there's an opportunity for you to come there and share Jesus Christ with them. Okay, it is a beautiful place. Go ahead to the next slide. It is a beautiful place. That is another untouched photo. There are beautiful sunsets in Arkansas, and I've seen many, but the sky is a different color up there. It's different. And so, go ahead. Sorry about that. I'd ask that you pray for my family. Pray for me. A year ago, I didn't even have a job, and now I'm the superintendent of Blaine County. They have county superintendent, and I don't even have a master's degree. Okay, I got a PE degree. I'm not certified to teach history like I did down here, but I'm certified to be the superintendent of schools, which is insane. But that just shows that God is working, man. Okay, God is at work there. And so I would encourage you to pray for us as we're there. It's a difficult place to be. It's hard to be away from. Sorry. Family and friends, and do without things that you do without. But man, there's no Starbucks, there's no Sonic, there's none of that stuff. Okay? But I said earlier that I believe that God had called me there, and that 3 times He told me to do something, and 2 of them I didn't do it. All right? I'm 41 years old now, and if God called me to Montana, I wasn't fixing to miss out again. I wasn't fixing to not do it again. And so, as I close here, and I know it's right at 12, I'm sorry, I went a little long. I get carried away sometimes. But in the book of Romans, chapter 10, if I can get there on my phone, it says, 10:14 is where I'm trying to get to. How then shall they call on Him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in Him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel of peace and who bring glad tidings of good things. And so that's why we're there, because God called us there. And so I would ask that you pray for us as we're there and we're serving alongside Bruce. Remember, he and his family, he's got a daughter that's grown that has a need of a liver transplant, or she's got 6 months to live. We've got, Jennifer's got to go back to school to be able to continue to teach up there because they don't recognize Arkansas teaching certifications in Montana. So I thank you for letting us be here and listen to me ramble on and get a little emotional on you, and hope it didn't blind you too much with my head. But again, just remember us there, and as you pray and consider and try to think how you could get involved, then talk to Todd or call us, and we would be happy to get you involved there. So I thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you have prayer requests, need to contact us, or need directions to the church, check us out online at fbckeiser.com. If you want to join us, we're located at 210 East Main Street, or give us a call at 870-526-2604, or send mail to P.O. Box 306, Keiser, Arkansas 72351. We'd love to see you soon. Thanks again for joining us, and may God bless you.
Speaking to my soul.